Welcome back to Just Calm Down. Welcome back. Is it your first time here? I hope so. Wow, a new listener? How nice of you to join us. I just got back from a walk with the dog at dusk. Hands are still cold. That's how fresh it is. Just walked in. Hands cold. And not just because of poor circulation. No, it's chilly outside. It's colder outside than one would believe about a city like Atlanta, which my partner, she grew up here. That's why we came back here. And she said it doesn't stay as warm as you think. It's like, okay, well, you haven't lived here in over a decade. That's 10 years of global warming that you've got to take into consideration. So, yeah, I mean, it does get chilly at night. It's gotten into the 20s a few times, yeah, at night. But, not too bad. No snow. So that's real interesting stuff to open up with the weather. I've been having, Zoom calls for the day job, and literally that's what we talk. So I talk about the weather. That's the stage of lockdown that we're in, I guess. And I'm not really locked down. I'm in Georgia. There's no rules, just right. And it's made me very uncomfortable in a few situations. But before I get to that, I wanted to talk about something I started thinking about when I was on the walk with the dog, which is that I know why pyramid schemes are illegal, but because they're bad. But how is a pyramid scheme really different than any other company in the world? It's like the person on top does the most desirable job for the most part, and they get paid the most. Like the easiest job, maybe not easiest, but it's the job that everybody wishes they had. You're the boss. You don't have to do anything if you don't want. That's literally why you hire people. So they do the job for you and you make the money. The people at the bottom, they're doing the least desirable job and they're getting paid the least. And the person on top gets that money. And that's how's that different from a pyramid scheme? The pyramid scheme, because you have to buy in to the company and that's why it's illegal. It's there's companies where you have to buy the damn uniform before your first day of work. It's buy the uniform. I'll wear whatever I want. What are you talking about? Give me the uniform or I'm showing up in khakis. That's the uniform? Damn it. That's what I get for dressing like a store employee, I guess. That's what I wanted to say. But I keep going out. I keep going out to stores. I don't keep going out. I've gone to a few different places here or in the Atlanta metro area. I went to Lenox Mall on Friday night, 6 p.m. I shouldn't have waited to that time. That's the time to go to the mall. It's during lockdown, right before Christmas. Are you kidding me? I mean, there's no lockdown, but people are still kind of not doing as much. But I had to make an exchange at the Banana Republic, and that kind of shit's really important to me. Okay, I needed. They're not the ones that I'm wearing, but they're very nice joggers. Made in sweatshop conditions, probably, but you know what? What isn't? All of this, you can only hear this podcast right now because of a whole lot of sweatshop labor. Sorry to bring it up. Okay, just calm down. It's going to be okay. Should I start doing that more in the podcast? Just calm down. You got to lean into it. Why do I have that as the name if it's not even going to be the tagline? I don't use it. I never use it. So I go to Lenox Mall, and it's like the bougie of bougie malls. Okay, it is. It's high end. They got like a Cartier. I don't know how it's pronounced. So they got they've got the Apple store, and there's not a lot of those. There's not a lot of Apple stores in the world. So the fact that this mall has an Apple store is bougie. And there's other high end places. The Gap. I think there was a Hot Topic, maybe a Spencer's Gifts, so the highest end type of mall. But no, it was real nice, and I'm walking around, but I'm immediately on edge because a lot of people wearing masks. Okay, there's no mask mandate in Georgia, but there's a lot of people wear masks. Okay, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. They've either there's some people walking around no masks at all, not around their neck, not in their ear, not in their pocket. And they're walking around the concourse of the mall like it's outdoors. People are coming out of shops, ripping that mask off immediately. What? mentality have we allowed? Like that has been just prevalent since they started reopening restaurants and bars and shit, at least in Ohio, like in May. The standard is you sit down and you can take your mask off, and that's safe, totally safe to have your mask off and talk for a couple hours if you'd like, as you're basking in it with people that you don't live in and strangers. And but sitting there's fine as long as you're sitting there, not moving. You go to the bathroom, you put that mask on, good, it's fine. Insane to me. So that has devolved into, in the store, mask on. Outside of the store, mask off. No mask. Walk around. And there were quite a few people. I walked by one of those places where people are sitting around, and just all like 20 people sitting on benches and shit, and masks off, just chilling. Like what is this? How are you not spreading? And it's dense. There's a lot of people in the mall, and it's uncomfortable. So of course I made my exchange. I'm not going to drive all that way and risk COVID and not get my job done. But I hated it so much. And I tried to go to an outdoor art market. Local vendors, try to get some last minute Christmas gifts for my family at home, ship it over, hey, got locally bought. Cool. It was at a brewery, and it was outdoors, but I got there, and it's a brewery, so people are standing around drinking, no masks on, of course. Like you wouldn't even really expect it there, but I showed up anyways, like an asshole. Literally, I was there for like 2 minutes, spent 40 minutes in the car total just to get out, walk around, and then go right back in. So that was not. I don't know why I keep going out, is the point that I'm trying to make, because it's spiking. I mean, they just started giving out the first vaccinations today. That's exciting. Or yesterday, whenever it was. It doesn't matter, because we're never going to get one because we're anti-vaxxers in this house. And yeah, so that's been the entirety of my existence, which I guess is better than some folks who are locked down and not going anywhere. Or the people, I do like to go out to I feel guilty for going out to the shops, but what, everyone else that I'm living with is going out to the stores and doing certain things. So whatever, solidarity with the workers at Banana Republic. We gotta, they're there, they gotta be there. And me not going there is not going to close it down. So show some solidarity with the workers, be polite, try to not be crazy customers, try to make their day by doing nothing, just by being a decent human and not freaking out because someone asked me to wear a mask. I do tend to feel like I'm going a little bit insane. Like I'm not doing the worst, but I'm not doing great. It's weird. I do value the minimal social interaction that I get. Like when I go out to the store, when I went to that brewery, a guy stopped. I was wearing a Cincinnati brewery shirt, Mad Tree. And I also had my Chappelle mask on because, I paid all that money for the show. It was a great show. But I paid that money for the mask. Let's wear the damn mask. I don't wear it that often. But I went and saw Chappelle over the summer, one of those day camp shows. Day camp? Whatever. That outdoor thing he was doing, and it was awesome. But so I was wearing the mask. So I'm like, you know what? I'm in Atlanta. Might as well flex a little bit, right? I don't get to go out at all. Just going to the farmer's market I get dressed up. That's the only thing I'm going to, and then interact with some people. But the guy, someone that was walking around, no mask. So again, it freaked me out. I was there for 2 minutes. This guy stopped me at that holiday market. He's like, "Hey man, hope it's okay for me to say." I'm going to be offended. Whatever comes next after that is, I hope it's okay for me to say. I was like, did I wear a Bernie shirt, or did I wear something that's going to make somebody say something messed up? No. He's like, love the shirt. Love the mask even more. I was like, hell yeah. And that was the highlight of my week. Being simultaneously terrified that this guy's going to give me COVID, and also psyched that he appreciated the fact that I put on two things to start a conversation with someone exactly like him. I'm talking about my day, for God's sake, and I'm not making it funny. That's the part that I think is the egregious thing. Is that I think somebody wants to just listen to me journal via vocals, just think out loud and not try to make it funny, and I guess I could try, but that would require some sort of effort on my part, and it's hard to do. I feel like I've been doing so much nothing for so long that it's hard to expound any effort on anything, you know. No live shows coming up, so I don't feel pressured to write any comedy. But I did just sign up for a sitcom pilot writing class via Zoom, via, you know, some comedians based in Atlanta running a class. So I'm going to do that, and we'll see how that goes. So if Podcast the Sitcom comes out in 2022, you heard it first, folks. You heard it right here. Podcast the Sitcom. Now that I'm thinking about it, it feels like I'm ripping off the podcast The Ride, a theme park podcast that I listen to. I do have interests outside of insufferable political shit. I love roller coasters and theme parks. I have since I was a child, and that's the hint to any of my passwords. So if you'd like to steal my identity, log into my Google account, find out my search history, obviously, bookmarks, anything like that. You need hint on my password or getting it unlocked. You know, password hints, roller coasters. Anyways, but big news today. The first piece of big news today is that Senator Nina Turner of Ohio, former Bernie co-chair, Senator Nina Turner running for Congress. That's right. Marcia Fudge. What a name. I mean, that sounds like a name from a Roald Dahl book, right? That's the lost character from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Marcia Fudge. That's Willy Wonka's wife, for God's sake. Who is a congresswoman out of Cleveland, one of the districts that surrounds Cleveland, and she got tapped for HUD secretary, I think. So that means her seat in the House is open, and then Senator Nina Turner has announced that she is going to fill that seat, or she's going to run to. There will be a special election, I think, in early 2021, and that's huge. I mean, she's already, you know, the announcement happened a couple hours ago, and she's already, you know, being endorsed by all of these big progressive names. What that translates to in terms of votes, I really don't know. But you know, Cleveland's a pretty progressive district, and I think if she is able to successfully voice her platform, Medicare for all, Green New Deal, you know, universal basic income, everything that Bernie ran on, if she's able to effectively and without interference communicate that to the district, I think she is going to beat any Democrat that is running against her. I think the other two people who have thrown their names in are Democrats as well, you know, party candidates who will get a lot of super PAC money, help. I donated to her campaign today. I haven't made any political donations since Bernie dropped out, and this is the first one. So I'm very excited about that. That's huge. You know, most people, I think, in the Bernie camp assumed she is who he would have tapped for VP. And so the fact that it's within a couple of months, we could be talking about Congresswoman Nina Turner joining the squad. Incredible. It's going to be an amazing contrast of somebody who is pushing Medicare for, like saying Medicare for all, Green New Deal, and not backing off of the Democratic Socialist label. And, you know, quite unlike the candidates here in Georgia who are unfortunately backing off of all of that stuff. Whether or not that's effective, again, I don't know. I wish that they would just do it though. Especially Warnock. I think I do believe that he is more radical than he purports. And it's just so annoying to me. I think I said this exact same thing, but it's annoying to me that Kelly Loeffler is not referred to as a radical, even though she is capitalism pushed to its most radical end, like literally. She is a radical, and so is David Perdue. So are most Republicans, but especially these two people who are at the forefront of that scandal of selling off all of those stocks right before COVID happened, as tens of millions of people are about to lose their jobs. They're making tens of millions of dollars by selling fucking stocks. that they knew were going to tank because of COVID. It's crazy. It's crazy that those two people can be in the same. I mean, Kelly Loeffler wasn't elected. Again, I feel like I'm treading on a bunch of stuff that I already just talked about on the last episode, but it's worth repeating because I am very disaffected by electoral politics. It's all very frustrating, which is rich for me to be saying as someone who's been so lightly involved for such a short amount of time. I understand that, but whatever. I mean, if I feel this way, other people probably do too. But I am genuinely excited to vote in this election. Even though the two candidates leave a lot to be desired. Despite not saying the buzzwords that you want them to, here's to be fair, okay? To be fair, definitely continue pushing them to be using these phrases, but like also they are, at the very least, they're not backing away from the ideologies, just the words. Jon Ossoff continues to tweet, "Healthcare is a human right." And they refer to more affordable healthcare, or just affordable healthcare, which is code for we're not going to give you universal healthcare. But they're at least saying things like healthcare is a human right, and saying, we need an infrastructure and jobs guarantee that is, sustainable, environmentally. Like, that's literally the Green New Deal. You're pushing the Green New Deal without saying it. Just say it, but also credit for clearly at least supporting it. I don't know, that maybe that's me giving somebody, giving them too much credit. I understand. I'm sure some people would be frustrated for me to be saying that, but whatever. This is my show. Do your own damn show. All right. So yeah, excited for that. Still waiting. I purchased a Warnock sign and sticker because I wanted to. I don't know. These campaigns do not need money. They've got plenty of money from these corporate PACs, unfortunately, and just every dollar that would be getting donated around to different Democrat-related things are getting pushed into these campaigns. So they don't need the money, but I did want to show a little bit of solidarity with Warnock, so I bought his sign and his sticker, and I bought them 2 weeks ago, and they're shipping from Texas. They are coming from Texas, and they are still in Texas. They shipped a week, what's today? It's over a week ago from Texas, and it's still in Texas. I do not have any faith that that's going to show up by now. And also, why is it's not being produced in Georgia? I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but it is strange. Like, why you don't you be bringing jobs to Georgia, but to do the job in Georgia? But maybe there's no available union house in Georgia at this time, and they needed a union production company. So I'm sure there's a reason, but it's never going to show up. And then there was a honkin' wave down the street on the corner for both candidates, and they were giving out signs. I grabbed an Ossoff one. Whatever. It's for the yard. It's for the house. I'm not the only one here that votes, and I am going to vote for him. So whatever. So I got that one. Didn't grab Warnock one. I didn't want to take from their supply, and I was like, I already bought one, so it's on the way. And then I get the shipping update today, and it's like, is it ever going to show up? Is it ever going to show up? Also something I've noticed walking around here. We're in a fairly well-to-do suburb. Now, I wouldn't say the most, but it's not like Buckhead where that bougie mall is, but it's nice. Primarily white, I'd say, and no Warnock signs anywhere at all. None. I haven't seen one in any yard. Plenty of Ossoff signs. So I don't know what that speaks to, but it could be that Warnock just doesn't have as much of not have much of an output. I haven't seen his signs available to be picked up either. So maybe it's that. Maybe it's something else. I don't know, but I am interested to see how the whole thing shakes out. Like, if there will be any disparity between the two candidates, if there's people who vote for Warnock but not Ossoff, or vice versa. I don't know. That would be crazy. If one of them wins and the other doesn't, that wouldn't be good. But that would be crazy. I wanted to talk about Katie Porter, Representative Katie Porter from what state is Katie Porter from? California, of course. Where else would she be from? Katie Porter's great. I think she was a Warren stan, so that's a little bit of a. But she's legit. She does the damn work, dude. I really like her. And she causes great moments in Congress. If you don't know who I'm talking about, she's the one that does the whiteboard, and she dunks on all the CEOs and stuff, in the hearings and all that. She's great, and she posted this tweet thread. It was last week, but it was telling, Congress cannot get through a stimulus bill. If you can believe that, they can't get through a second stimulus bill 9 months after the last one. It's been 9 months, and I seem to remember certain people named I don't know, Nancy Pelosi, for instance, saying that this first stimulus is just the first one, and there will be another one coming. We're accepting a smaller one because another one's coming. Where is it? There's not one coming. And the bill keeps getting smaller and smaller as they toss it back and forth. Smaller, smaller, smaller. No stimulus for the people. Protections for corporations so that they cannot get sued by their employees or customers or anybody for putting them in dangerous working conditions as it relates to COVID. But no, any stimulus for those work? No. No. That's not how this works. That's not how this works. The money is for the rich. We need to get more. Who is it? Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, who have profited by the hundreds of millions? I'm not certain. Perhaps. Billions? I don't know. I don't know the number. So why don't I look it up? I have my damn computer in front of me. Oh, here it is. I just looked it up, and it's from Forbes, which is pretty right-wing, right? Pretty right, pro-corporate, I'll tell you that. America's 3 richest people are now positioned to pay 0 state income tax, and that's Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Bill Gates, the benevolent billionaire, the billionaire that everybody loves. I mean, does anybody hate Bill Gates besides the people that think he's trying to inject them with a microchip or something? I don't know. He just seems so nice, right? I guess because the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, right? And he does the thing with the toilets. That's what people have tried to talk shit to me about and say, he's a good billionaire, okay? He does toilet things. Something about toilet water. Yeah, that's a form. No, zero state income tax. Should I read this? I don't know. They're using a lot of stock symbols, and I don't know what that means. Tesla, a CEO. Let me just... So they're not going to be paying any state income taxes, but that doesn't tell me how much they made during this time. Here's Business Insider. From March to June 2020, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos saw his wealth rise by an estimated $48 billion. Oh, the founder of video conferencing platform Zoom grew his nest egg by over $2.5 billion, and former Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer, so not Gates, but I'm sure he's doing the same. That guy's net worth increased by $15.7 billion. Tens of billions of dollars while people lose their health care and die in the streets and in the hospital. Cool. System works. The system works, folks. Tens of millions unemployed. Handful of guys. We all know their names. We hear about them all the time. Not only are they doing great, they're profiting more than they ever have. Almost like the system was set up exactly so that would happen. Hard not to be a conspiracy theorist when reality is a constant conspiracy of the capitalists versus us. Can we get back to Katie Porter, for Christ's sake? Why did I get derailed? Katie Porter is what I was supposed to be talking about. So let's talk about Katie Porter. Oh yes, that's how I got derailed. We were talking, you and I, me and myself in the camera, the screen, talking to myself, talking to the mice in the walls, to my dog in the other room. I know he can hear my voice. You're a good boy. Why does talking to dogs turn you into an absolute just blathering idiot? I mean, I love it. But just to say nothing, just nothing. Just like it's like we're reverting to our primate urge to just make noise. Maybe that's what the Pentecostals got right. Speaking in tongues. They're just getting in touch with their primal self of just like. It's fun. It's fun to do in a microphone. I thought I would be horrified to do that. I'm very self-conscious about things, and if I listen back to that, maybe I'll delete it. I won't. It was fun, and I don't care how it sounded. See, I'm growing. I'm growing as a absolute psycho. Whatever's going on up there. Katie Porter on message. Okay. Stimulus bill. It's getting passed around. It's not passing. It's not gonna pass. There's not gonna be a stimulus. Bernie says they're not gonna leave Washington until there's a stimulus. I don't see any movement in that direction. It's maddening. It just feels like every day is the same. Nothing's, Trump's mad. He's mad that he lost, and he's not acknowledging the fact that he lost. That's every day. This thing is every day. Just like it's what's happening. I feel like this is almost, things seem crazy, but this is almost the calm before the storm, because people are about to be getting kicked out of their houses, and like, what kind of show is Trump going to put on in January when he's leaving office? Like, January could be absolutely insane. So enjoy this while it lasts, folks. Buckle up, because it's about to get bumpy. Katie Porter, okay, she was talking she's not talking shit, but let's say she's talking shit to Mitch McConnell, because fuck Mitch McConnell. Fuck Mitch McConnell. Katie Porter, here's a tweet thread. I won't provide any context, just gonna read it and put it up on my shoulder there. When I came to Congress, I knew I had a responsibility to pull back the curtain for the American people and expose corruption in real time. So I'm filling you in on Senator McConnell's attempt over the last 8 days to tank a bipartisan COVID. We say COVID in this house. Mary COVID. Star of COVID. Bipartisan COVID relief bill. And it's a thread. She said it right there. Thread. Katie Porter thread. Buckle up. Get your whiteboards ready. It's a Katie Porter thread. You may have heard that Democrats and Republicans have agreed upon spending $900 billion to fund another round of small business loans, support hospitals and essential workers, and help the 10 million people who lost their jobs through no fault of their own. Everyone at the negotiating table, including Senate Republicans, has agreed to a compromise, except one. Mitch McConnell is refusing to bring it to the floor unless it wipes away all COVID-related lawsuits filed that allege injury or death due to corporate negligence, which is what I just mentioned. These lawsuits represent the worst of the worst examples of disregard for human life. Cases filed on behalf of nursing home patients and grocery store workers who died because of the company in charge of keeping them safe prioritized cutting costs over protecting them. Sorry, I'm not taking breaths properly. I'm getting winded just saying this and reading it. And wow. The name McConnell who said that, wait, I said that wrong. The same McConnell who said that President Trump is 100% within his rights to pursue baseless lawsuits alleging election fraud is now refusing to pass urgently needed relief unless it strips those same rights from the most vulnerable among us. This must be exposed. I mean, there's been a lot of politicians lately, Democrat and Republican, who are saying the quiet part out loud, which usually means something bad. Saying the quiet part out loud, saying, but it's usually said in a negative context, Damn, I wish I could think of one, and I can't think of one because it's such it's so important. This podcast is so important, and it's important for me to get to the facts and for me to get the facts right. And oh no, my time check, 5 minutes remaining for twitter.com today. I'm almost locked out. Moments away from having to plug in my password so I can get 15 more minutes on my time limiter app. Not an effective tool for me. I just keep plugging in the password, getting 15 more minutes. You've reached your limit on Twitter. You've seen enough Twitter for the day. Nope, 15 more. Give me 15 more. Just 15 more, baby. 15 more. I just need it. Inject it right in there. But here, Katie Porter saying the part out loud. She's calling out Mitch McConnell. What is this government system that can be held up by one guy? I tried putting up this arm and no one could see it. One guy. I know we've been talking about this for a while, but like why are we allowing this to continue happening? Why are we not taking drastic measures to get this guy out of the way? Like, why are they not changing the rules and how can one person do this? How is this it's not. This is not a functioning system, not a functioning society, it's not functioning. Nothing has made that more obvious than the way that we've handled COVID. So how does this continue to be a thing? And the number keeps going lower and lower because the Democrats keep trying. I don't even know, in good faith, to work with him and appease him. It's like, you're not going to appease him until you get rid of everything that helps people and only include things that help corporations. That's it. So how about you just try something? I don't know what else is there to even try. I don't even know what else there is. But like, what a more potent way to see how ineffectual most of these Dems are, that they can't do this. They can't overcome one guy. But anyways, so at least there's Bernie, and there's this guy named Josh Hawley from Iowa, Missouri. We'll find out where he's from, but he's a Repub. This is really the only insistence on a congressional level that I've seen of like, give people money now or we're not going home for Christmas, which is quite a threat, especially coming from the Jewish senator from Vermont. It's like, Christmas is canceled unless we give everyone $1,200.
We have more hunger in America today than at any time in the modern history of this country. This pandemic has been a disaster, not only from a public health perspective, but from an economic perspective. And economists tell us that working families today are in worse shape right now than any time since the Great Depression. And it's not just that children in America, the richest country on earth, are going hungry. It's you have millions and millions of families who are scared to death that they're going to be evicted from their homes, and join the 500,000 people in America who are already homeless. We have half of our population working day to day, living paycheck to paycheck, trying to survive. This Congress must address the economic emergency facing the American people. We cannot go back to our families during the Christmas holidays while tens of millions of families are suffering. They are looking toward us and their government to provide the emergency assistance that they need. Yesterday, Senator Hawley and I introduced a very simple amendment, not a radical idea. In fact, we're way, way behind what other countries around the world are doing to protect their workers. All that we want to do is to once again provide the same benefits that were provided in the CARES bill that unanimously, Democrats, Republicans, President Trump signed it, supported it. We all came together in March to say that every working class adult in this country would get $1,200 and their kids would get $500. So you got a husband and wife and 2 kids, that's $3,400. Maybe they could use that money to pay a couple of months' rent, buy some food, go to the doctor. We're looking at a horrible pandemic now, and you got 90 million people who are uninsured or underinsured. That's all we are asking, is to do what we unanimously did in March. And if I have anything to say about it, and I guess I do, we're not going to go home for the Christmas holidays unless we make sure that we provide for the millions of families in this country who are suffering. And with that, I would yield to Senator Hawley.
This is a very simple thing that we're talking about, and I can boil it down really easily. If the Senate of the United States can find hundreds of billions of dollars to give to big government and big business, surely it can find some relief for working families and working individuals. And I would just submit to you that it is working families and working people who should be first in line for COVID relief, not last. And that is why the amendment that Senator Sanders and I have proposed is so common sense. $1,200 for individuals, $2,400 for families, $500 for every child. And as Senator Sanders rightly says, every member of this body has voted yes in favor of this relief before. What's more, I can't figure out who exactly is opposed to it. The President of the United States has said that he is in favor of direct assistance. I thank the Majority Leader for his own support for direct assistance. The Speaker of the House has said that she is in favor of direct assistance, and that is why there is no reason why this body should leave next week before we vote on and approve direct assistance to working families.
Yeah, so this Josh Hawley guy, I really don't know that much about him. I know that he's referenced frequently by Crystal and Sauger over on The Hill Rising, a show that gets a significant amount of critique from the left generally. Some of it warranted, I think, some of it not. I don't know much about this guy, but they talk about him as a populist, which there are left-wing populists like Bernie, and there are allegedly right-wing populists, which a lot of people on the left argue is not a thing. It's just a fascist pretending, I guess. So I think that's what some leftists would argue about a right-wing populist, which I think is what Hawley is. Again, don't know much about him. Did quickly look up his voting record. So he voted against temporary fund federal government and renew Patriot Act. So he voted against renewing the Patriot Act, which that's good. Voted against, convicting President Trump of contempt of Congress, which probably, no, not good, but I don't exactly know what the extent of those were. Voted in favor of banning abortion after 20 weeks. That was earlier this year. Ban abortion after 20 weeks. So, not trying to say that what he's doing here with Bernie is not good and something that Bernie should work with him on, because it seems like they're the only two people talking rationally right now, and the only ones who seem willing to stand up. I will look this up right now, but where's Elizabeth? How is this not something that Bernie and Elizabeth Warren are both working on right now? What is that? How is that not the case? Where is she? Maybe she's here and I'm just not seeing it, but that should be pretty telling, right? That his only ally in the Senate right now is this right-winger who is speaking sense when it relates to this particular issue, which is also an indication of the level of disconnect. I don't even know if disconnect is the right word, but just unwillingness to represent the people and, desire to bend over backwards for corporate interests and, the perpetual upward transfer of wealth between both parties. So maybe we can read just a little bit more about this. This is from The Hill today. Sanders, a self-described Democratic socialist who's made 2 unsuccessful runs for the Democratic Party's White House nod and has been around Washington since 1991. A little jab there. Hawley, 40 years old, made a meteoric rise to join the Senate in 2019 and is under the microscope as a potential 2024 presidential contender, as he positions himself to try and take the mantle of being a conservative populist. If Trump could do it, I think this guy could. And I think that's a lot of what the left is a little bit worried about, that he will run like Trump did to the left of whatever Democrat is running next time around, and then is an even more effective kind of fascist than Trump. Because he's talking about a stimulus bill and he knows what he's doing. Let's do away with the notion that Josh Hawley doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing, to quote little Marco Rubio. Before their current effort, they had never signed onto a bill sponsored by the other. According to tracking from Congress.gov, Hawley votes for legislation backed by President Trump more than 85% of the time. There you go. Another mark against Lil Hawley. The checks divide the GOP caucus because of the cost. We got to worry about those costs now. It's a big concern now. Critics argue it is more important that Congress provide a boost to unemployment benefits because those are targeted toward the jobless and unlikely to go into savings. As if giving everybody a little bit more savings wouldn't be a net positive for this fucking country that was on the brink of bankruptcy before a pandemic ravaged the country. What is it? The huge percentage, something like 50, 60%, maybe even higher of Americans, 2 paychecks away from financial disaster, or 1 emergency away from bankruptcy, like, AKA no savings. People don't have savings. Tied up in their push is a government funding bill that leadership could unveil as soon as Tuesday. Didn't see anything today. The bill will need to pass by Friday night in order to avoid a government shutdown. So the government is going to get shut down if they don't figure this shit out by Friday. It's getting shut down. Guaranteed. Trust me, I'm the guy that predicted that Joe Biden was going to drop out in July of 2019. All right, so I casted some doubt on Warren. This is from December 8th, last week. Elizabeth Warren and Ed Markey urged fellow Senate Democrats to demand stimulus checks in COVID-19 relief bill. So in letter, they called the recent Manchin-Romney proposal unacceptable, which I assume is the one that didn't have any stimulus. So I guess that speaks to a bit to the bubble that I'm in, right? We're all in our own little bubbles. I'm sure there's people in a Warren bubble too. But I haven't, heard anything about that. But that's because I'm following all burners. And they're not going to say something nice about Elizabeth Warren, whether that's fair or not. You could ask the same question about the way that she acted in the primary. So whatever. So good for her. She's pushing for a stimulus bill. But did she say we're not going to go home for Christmas if it doesn't get passed? Well, maybe she did. Just search the word Christmas. It's not mentioned in here. I said Bernie's trying to cancel Christmas, but I don't think Liz is even talking about it. It says something. I don't know what it says, but it says something. So in some Georgia news, I guess it's news. It's something that happened 8 years ago, but this guy Nathan Brand on Twitter, which looking him up, he is the comms director for the Republican Senate, the senators and the Republican senators, whatever. The NRSC, the National Republican Senate, says the Senate majority, National Republican Senatorial Committee. So he's the comms director for that. And he tweets this new uncovered video. Democrat Raphael Warnock called GOP senators gangsters and thugs trying to kill children for cutting taxes for working class families. Yeah, that's why he called them that. But here's the video.
While others were sleeping, members of the United States Senate declared war and launched a vicious and evil attack on the most vulnerable people in America. Herod is on the loose. Herod is a cynical politician who's willing to kill children and kill the children's health program in order to preserve his own wealth and his own power. Hope is in the air, but Herod is on the loose. The hopes and the fears of all the years have met in thee tonight. And so on Friday night, the United States Senate decided by a slim majority to pick the pockets of the poor, the sick, the old, and the yet unborn in order to line the pockets of the ultra-rich. Don't tell me about gangsters and thugs on the streets. There are more gangsters and thugs in Washington, D.C., in the Capitol, than there are.
God damn. He's vibing up there.
A bunch of
Appreciate that just on a performance level. I mean, it's you don't get to be pastor of the Ebenezer Baptist Church, MLK's own church, without being fire on the mic. Where was that guy at that debate last week? I want that guy. That's the guy that needs to show up against radical Kelly Loeffler. That's what I want to see. What did he call them? Gangsters and thugs trying to kill children. I love this for a lot of reasons. One, because this is a Republican that posted this, so he's trying to do some smearing, scare tactics, whatever. Like, can you believe that he's calling Republicans gangsters and thugs trying to kill children? That's what we do. We call Democrats gangsters and thugs who kill children with abortion. That's the best part. Is that they can't complain about a politician, which at this point, he's not even a politician, he's a pastor. So he's disconnected from politics to a certain extent. There's a political aspect to being any sort of public speaking figure, if we're being honest. But for him to go after them for killing children, born and unborn, it's pretty awesome, because that's just the classic right-wing Republican, Christian conservative, fundamentalist, like, they're killing babies. We're going to protest outside of abortion clinics for 50 years and continue to lose and just be absolutely frothing at the mouth. So he uses that against them. And I appreciate that. And from what I understand, I don't think there's been any statement from the campaign, and I don't think there should be, other than to say, yeah, he stands by it, and he says the same about the current occupant in the Senate, David Perdue, Kelly Loeffler, both of them, gangsters and thugs, killing 300,000 Americans as of today. 300,000 we hit. Deaths could have been prevented if not for people like David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, who have profited during that same time. So I'm not sure if they are doing another debate, but I want to see this guy. I want to see that guy right there going against Kelly Loeffler, not whatever that was last week. That kind of just like dude just playing the talking points. It wasn't great. I want to see that. This is what people want to vote for. And also, people complaining about what he has to say here. He's crushing in that room. The vibe I'm getting from Republicans complaining about this, about how terrible this is, what he's saying, as people are cheering and excited, and he has to stop because people are applauding. He's holding for applause. He's crushing. That's like people in the comments under like a stand-up clip where the person is crushing. Like, this isn't funny at all. It's like, well, those couple thousand people, those couple hundred people in the comedy club, they thought it was pretty great. Could you say that about literally anything that you've done? So just love that aspect of it too. So it looks like Warnock has requested additional debates, but there are none scheduled yet. So we will see. Stay tuned. So some audio leaked. I guess leaked is the right word to use here. I don't use that in a negative context. Some audio leaked from a meeting that happened amongst Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and some certain civil rights leaders. I don't know exactly the context that it happened. I've heard the audio clips, but I've got this article open. I'm going to read it. So here we go. Inside Biden's meeting with civil rights leaders. In a recording obtained by The Intercept, Biden was unenthusiastic about executive action and warned against police reform before Georgia's Senate runoffs. So before I dive in, I will play the clips here where it makes sense as I'm reading through this, but it's bad. It's not surprising if you've heard any of the clips of Joe Biden from over the years, talking about Social Security, talking about not wanting his kids to be raised in a quote unquote racial jungle, and all the horrific things he said as it relates to the '94 crime bill.
It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. That's number one. There's a consensus on that. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
But it, if you buy the narrative and the party talking points that Joe Biden's just this nice guy, he's reasonable. He's like a grandpa, basically. It's even kind of charming that he's a little bit losing his mind, right? Like it's Uncle Joe, good old Uncle Joe. He's just a decent guy. He's just inherently decent. So you think maybe he's not that person anymore that he was, that kind of nasty dude from the 90s and earlier on. And then you hear audio that was from yesterday when I heard it. This was about a week ago now. But it's audio from yesterday and him being just as nasty as he was in those videos. And you're like, oh, even someone like me who has been a staunch opponent of this guy. Wow. So here we go. Democrats in the House, Senate, and around the country have been urging President-elect Joe Biden to use the maximum amount of executive authority available to him in order to grow the economy, expand civil rights, protect the climate, and otherwise implement the agenda he ran on, despite the expected obstruction from a Republican Senate. On Tuesday, that's last Tuesday, a group of civil rights leaders urged him to privately take a slew. On Tuesday, this is like over a week ago, a group of civil rights leaders urged him privately to take a slew of executive actions during a 2-hour virtual meeting. And that's the private 2-hour virtual meeting for which you're about to hear some audio clips. While Biden didn't close the door to anything specific, he was far from enthusiastic about the idea of using executive action. A recording of the virtual meeting attended by Biden, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, and civil rights leaders was obtained by The Intercept. So The Intercept got it and they posted it because The Intercept, good shit. The excerpts from it can be heard in this week's Deconstructed podcast. You know what? We're not, stop. Hang on. Hit stop. We're not promoting other podcasts on this podcast. I've got few enough listeners as it is. But listen to Deconstructed. It's pretty good. Ryan Grimm, top notch. Not the way, like the good, not, oh God. You can't do that in these days. Not the way that you think it is. It's the racist one, not, no, good shit. All right. So, I'm going to play the audio.
And so there's some things that I'm going to be able to do by executive order. I'm not going to hesitate to do it. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to do what Vanita, you probably used to get angry with me during the debates, when you'd have some of the people you were supporting said, on day one, I'm going to executive order to do this. Not within the constitutional authority. I am not going to violate the Constitution.
First of all, absolutely not against the Constitution. Let's just make that clear. If it was against the Constitution, it wouldn't be used so prevalently. Obama used it sometimes. Was that unconstitutional? What are you talking about?
Executive authority that my progressive friends talk about is way beyond the bounds. And as one of you said, maybe you, Reverend now, whether it's far left or far right, there is a Constitution. It's our only hope, our only hope. And the way to deal with it is where I have executive authority, I will use it to undo every single damn thing this guy has done by executive authority. But I'm not going to exercise executive authority where it's questioned, where I can come along and say, I can do away with assault weapons. There's no executive authority to do away with that. And no one's fought harder to get rid of assault weapons than me. But you can't do it by executive order. If you do that, next guy comes along and says, well, guess what? By executive order, I'm going to say everybody can own machine guns again.
Okay, that actually was not the clip that I was thinking was going to play, but I'll find it in a second. But, I mean, can you listen to his tone there? Can you imagine the kind of outrage, 24-hour outrage from, from the cable news cycle that there would be if Bernie Sanders was caught on leaked audio talking that way to civil rights leaders? First of all, you wouldn't hear that. But he's just so, how dare you? How dare you? And you know what? I do want to find that clip because that's not a great one because, I don't personally think that he should use an executive order to ban assault weapons either. But that's a whole different issue. I want to find that clip that I was thinking of. Here's audio from the Hill.
A lot of people in our community are getting a little anxious because they are not seeing enough of the progress they thought they would have seen at this point. Let's not disappoint them, and let's not get to a place where voters in Georgia begin to second guess.
Okay, let me respond. I've got to go. Let me respond. There's a lot to respond to here. Let's get something straight. You shouldn't be disappointed. What I've done so far is more than anybody else has done this far. Okay?
I did enough. What more do you cretins want from me? How dare you demand more from me? I did everything. I'm the guy. I'm the guy that filled those private prisons. How much more do you want me to do, goddammit?
Number one. Number two, I mean what I say when I say it. I mean what I say when I say it.
I mean what I say when I say it. I mean what I say when I say it. When I say I don't want my kids growing up in a racial jungle, I mean it. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean.
I'm the only person who's ever run on 3 platforms that I was told could not possibly win the election, and I never ceased from it. One was on restoring the soul of this country because of what I saw happen in Charlottesville. That was it. No one else was talking about it. The words of presidents matter. Nobody else, no progressive, was talking about it. I did.
Everyone else was too cowardly to run on a specific platform like restoring the soul of this country. Everyone said I couldn't do it. They say you'll never do it. That's too radical. Restoring the soul of the country? You're out of your mind, Joe. That's what they said. I'm the only guy who would do it. It was me. I was the only one calling for progress. I beat the socialist. No one else was calling for any of this stuff because nobody was quite as vague as number 1. But it's just amazing that you're on a call with civil rights leaders to hear from them, to say, hey, what can we do to be an ally in your movements? And they say, hey, here's something you can do. And you said, hey, I didn't mean actually give me something to do. I wanted to have this call so we could say we had the call and that's it. We didn't want there to be any action items at the end of it. We won. Game over. It's really, even after hearing the kind of horrific shit he said in the past, to hear him with this week, just that tone, even if he was saying nice stuff, that tone is just so condescending and Trumpian, dare I say. People have been losing their minds the past 4 years the way Trump talks to reporters. Talks to reporters a lot like that. How is this? In fact, that's worse. Because, you know, a good amount of those reporters are, you know, they're just trying to barb him. They're working for outlets owned by some of the worst people on earth. These folks are civil rights leaders. And this is the most progressive guy. This is the most progressive president in history. Self-proclaimed. And this is how he talks to civil rights leaders. I don't know. I don't have an end to this segment, but you know, just let that sit there because that's what we have to look forward to. So I guess this is a pretty good transition into this last thing I want to talk about. To a certain extent, for him to lash out like that makes you think that you know, he's clearly faced some cognitive decline. I don't say any of this stuff with malice. I have dementia runs in my family, so not something that I am talking down on. It's just a fact of life. And when you've got so many incredibly old people in controls of the levers of power, it's a little disconcerting. I think Joe Biden is the oldest president in history. He's older than Trump. And he's becoming president now. So here's the New Yorker. Everyone was talking about this last week, and I think we're going to see some more about this moving forward because we do have a lot of very elderly statesmen, and this I think is a lot more prevalent than a lot of us are willing to admit. Diane Feinstein's missteps raise a painful age question among Senate Democrats. Again, this is from the New Yorker. In a hearing on November 17th, Diane Feinstein, the senior Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee, who at 87 is the oldest member of the Senate, grilled a witness. Reading from a sheaf of prepared papers, she asked Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, they probably had to explain to her what Twitter is, whether his company was doing enough to stem the spread of disinformation. Elaborating, she read in full a tweet that President Trump had disseminated on November 7th, falsely claiming to have won the presidential election. She then asked Dorsey if Twitter's labeling of the tweet as disputed had adequately alerted readers to that it was a bald lie. It was a good question. Feinstein seemed sharp and focused. For decades, she's been the epitome of a female trailblazer in Washington, always hyper-prepared. So prepared, going into a pandemic that she sold a bunch of stock based on some tips she received. Bipartisan fucking over of America. But this time, after Dorsey responded, Feinstein asked him the same question again, reading it word for word, along with the Trump tweet. Her inflection was eerily identical. Feinstein looked and sounded just as authoritative, seemingly registering no awareness that she was repeating herself verbatim. Dorsey graciously answered the question all over again. Oh, Dorsey doesn't get the same accolades for delivering his response in the exact same way? Typical liberal media. Social media was less polite. 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 A conservative website soon posted a clip of the humiliating moment on YouTube under the headline, Senator Feinstein just asked the same question twice and didn't realize she did it. I actually didn't see this. It's sad. I don't know. I don't even want to see it. It's sad. Even though she is a despicable human being, I don't want to see that. Okay, I don't know if I want to read all this. I wanted to talk about the specifics because something leaked from her office. All right, here we go. Some former Feinstein aides insist that rumors of her cognitive decline have been exaggerated and that video clips taken out of context can make almost anyone look foolish, especially when you repeat yourself verbatim immediately after you say it the first time. They also bridle at singling out her condition because declining male senators, including Strom Thurmond of South Carolina and Robert Byrd of West Virginia, were widely known by the end of their careers to be non-compos mentis. That's some Latin, and I don't learn dead languages or living ones for that matter. Quote, for his last 10 years, Strom Thurmond didn't know if he was on foot or on horseback, one former Senate aide told me. Is that supposed to make us feel better about what the hell? The noted segregationist Strom Thurmond didn't know whether he was on foot or horseback, and therefore it's actually sexist to suggest that Senator Feinstein is out of her mind-stein. What? Okay. Establishment Democrats, am I right? In contrast, one former aide to Feinstein argues that even if her faculties are diminished, quote, she's still smarter and quicker than at least a third of the other members. Oh boy. Again, that doesn't say about her what you think it does. Says a lot about the U.S. government. But here we go. Many others familiar with Feinstein's situation describe her as seriously struggling and say it has been evident for several years. Speaking on background and with respect for her accomplished career, they say her short-term memory has grown so poor that she often forgets she has been briefed on a topic, accusing her staff of failing to do so just after they have. They describe Feinstein as forgetting what she's said and getting upset when she can't keep up. One aide to the senator described what he called a kabuki meeting in which Feinstein's staff tried to steer her through a proposed piece of legislation that she protested was, quote, just words which, quote, make no sense. I don't know what that means, play us out. What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. Does anybody know what I'm referencing, Bill O'Reilly? What the hell does that mean to play us out? I'll do it live. Fuck it. Oh, I'm stuck on the chair. This sweater. Feinstein's staff has said that sometimes she seems herself and other times unreachable. Quote, the staff is in such a bad position, they have to defend her and make her seem normal. As the ranking Democrat, Feinstein ordinarily would be expected to run the party's strategy on issues of major national importance, including judicial nominations. Instead, the committee has been hamstrung and disorganized. Quote, other members were constantly trying to go around her because as chair, she didn't want to do anything, and she also didn't want them doing anything, the former Senate staffer said. A current aide to a different Democratic senator observed sadly, she's an incredibly effective human being, but there's definitely been deterioration in the last year. She's in a very different mode now. Tensions began erupting in the summer 2018 during Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court confirmation hearings when the other Democrats on the committee belatedly learned that Feinstein's office had sat on Christine Blasey Ford's allegation that Kavanaugh had sexually assaulted her when they were in high school instead of immediately alerting them or the FBI. Ford had demanded that Feinstein keep the explosive charge confidential, but inevitably word of it leaked elsewhere to the media, triggering a second round of circus-like hearings that angered all sides. The internal criticism grew even more intense this fall over Feinstein's handling of Amy Coney Barrett. Feinstein had bungled a question about abortion during Barrett's 2017 appeals court confirmation hearing, provoking conservative indignation by casting it clumsily as a question about Barrett's extreme religious beliefs. Quote, dogma and law are two different things, Feinstein observed. The dogma lives loudly in you, and that's a concern. The backlash over the question effectively indemnified Barrett from any further questions about how her faith affected her judicial rulings. And of course, that line about how you can't criticize someone's religion only applies to Republicans. If it's a Democrat, like Raphael Warnock, you can attack his religion all you want. By the end of the confirmation hearings, public opinion polls showed more support for Barrett than before they began. Yikes. Progressive advocacy groups demanded that Feinstein step aside. Elise Hogue, the president of the reproductive rights group Narrow Pro-Choice America, issued a statement accusing her of having failed to make clear that Barrett posed a grave threat to every freedom and right we hold dear. Instead, Hogue said Feinstein had offered an appearance of credibility to the proceedings that is wildly out of step with the American people. As such, we believe the committee needs new leadership. And don't forget, during those hearings, she was seen giving Lindsey Graham a hug during COVID. Here's what I was looking for. This was being shared under some people sharing that story. This is from Vox in 2017. Headline: A pharmacist says he has filled Alzheimer's prescriptions for members of Congress. They're making the highest laws of the land, and they might not even remember what happened yesterday. Sounds a little bit like what we were just talking about. Aaron Mershon at Stat News recently spent some time shadowing the pharmacist who provides prescription drugs to many members of Congress. All right. Keep your mouth shut, pharmacist. It's none of this damn news person's business what the most powerful people in the world are putting into their bodies. Here's a quote from the story that woman did. Mike Kim, the reserved pharmacist turned owner of the pharmacy, said he has gotten used to knowing the most sensitive details about some of the most famous people in Washington. At first, it's cool. Then you realize I'm filling some drugs that are for some pretty serious health problems as well. And these are the people that are running the country, Kim said, listing treatments for conditions like diabetes and Alzheimer's. It makes you kind of sit back and say, wow, they're making the highest laws of the land, and they might not even remember what happened yesterday. The current Congress is among the oldest in history, and more than half of the senators running for re-election in 2018 will be over 65. The average age of the House of Representatives is 57, and the average age in the Senate is 61. The pharmacist doesn't appear to have violated any patient privacy laws. Well, that's good. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to cap off that story with that insane story. Like, okay, Feinstein's definitely one of them. I mean, Biden probably wasn't included in this, but, you know, he's taking some shit. Some other people have suggested that maybe McConnell too. He had those bruises on his hand, which I don't think is necessarily related directly to this particular part of the story. But I mean, the fact that he's extra stubborn, even more so it seems now than he has been in the past, could speak to that. It certainly could speak to that. This is all speculation. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm just reading articles into a microphone, okay? I guess I'll close on this for the week. Biden's been filling his cabinet, and I feel like I want to talk about all of that all at once, even though maybe that's insane. He just named Pete Buttigieg today. That's why I was overhearing something earlier. I don't feel like getting into it. I don't want to sully the good vibes we got going in this episode with talking about King Rat from South Bend. No, thank you. Let's talk about somebody else. Maybe I can do one or two per episode or something. I don't know. This is you don't need to hear this. Are you even listening at this point? I mean, we're pretty deep into it. So Joe Biden nominated this guy to run the USDA. I never heard of the guy before, but it turns out farmers, you know, the people who will be affected the most by the USDA for the most part, farmers know who he is. This guy's name is Tom Vilsack, and what you're about to hear is audio from a guy who was used in Biden campaign ads for this election.
Growing up on the farm was wonderful, really. My family has been farming in Wisconsin for 148 years. Yeah, dairy farming in Wisconsin are almost synonymous. They just fit. My daughter was working with me, and our plan was for her to eventually take over the family farm and keep it going for another generation. Just before Trump got elected, we had things looking pretty good. But then our price dropped 23%. And so we were kind of lost without a solid market. So we decided to liquidate the dairy business. Trump ended over 100 years of family farming for me and for my neighbors. His subsidies are trying to cover up what a mess he's made of farm policy. Trump cares about his bottom line and nothing else. I don't think he cares at all what happens to the farmers. Joe Biden is the kind of leader you can count on. He'll unite people and get us back on track.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
And so this guy, Jonathan Larson, with TYT, okay, he works for TYT, Jonathan Larson. He says this: Paul Adams appeared in this Biden campaign ad shortly after he and I started talking about the failure of his dairy farm in Wisconsin. He says in the ad, Joe Biden is the kind of leader you can count on. I just asked him about Biden choosing Tom Vilsack to run the USDA. Vilsack ran the USDA under Obama. My article focused on lax USDA enforcement of organic rules that protect small farms like Paul's from industrial-sized rivals, but that didn't start with Trump. And when I asked Vilsack for an interview, he declined. Paul says the Biden campaign didn't discuss policy with him, and there's no indication that a Biden administration would dramatically reform America's organic regulations, either for consumers or to preserve the shrinking safe haven organic farmers have. The campaign didn't respond to TOIT's request for comment. A spokesperson for Obama Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack, now a Biden surrogate on agriculture issues, said he was not immediately available for interview. As the article mentioned, the Biden campaign never discussed policy with Paul, and I couldn't find anything about Biden policies that would protect small organic farms from big competitors marketing themselves as organic, with the USDA's approval. Paul's farm failed under Trump, but it's fate. He just told me, quote, was already sealed under Obama Vilsack administration. It took me 3 years to go bankrupt. Vilsack just quietly let Big Ag overrun those pesky little organic producers. Vilsack as advocate for the people fails. Vilsack as USDA, CEOs can be great at consolidating wealth at any cost. Did it before, and we'll do it again. Paul concludes his email this way, or simply, Vilsack sucks. So this guy that appeared in an ad for Biden, effectively helping him get elected, straight up says this USDA guy is bullshit, and he's the reason that I lost my farm. I appeared in your ad to talk shit about what Trump has done to farms, but the reality is, I mean, Trump didn't help, but this is the guy that set the wheels into motion for my farm to go under. And you're making him head of the USDA again. Thanks, Joe Biden. And that's going to do it for this week's episode. Please hit the like button if you're watching this. If you're not subscribed to the audio podcast, subscribe to that. I would appreciate it. Rate and review on iTunes. Give it a thumbs up. Whatever you got to do, that really does help. Allegedly, I really don't know. They say it helps, and I think one person heard that on one podcast and then has just said it over and over and over again. That's how it works. One person said it, and then it helps. Magically, it helps. And hey, listen, if you enjoy this, please share it. I know that it's so hard to share stuff on social media, and half the time you post a link on like Facebook, or if you're on Facebook, and nothing shows up. But just share it with a person. I literally have no idea how to build an audience. I've been doing stand-up comedy for almost 11 years. I've grown no following. I think I've alienated all of my friends. So I don't know how to do this. I'm just going to try to release stuff that I enjoy. Hopefully you like it too. And if you do like it, that's the best thing you can do is to share what you see. That's pretty much it. I appreciate anybody that is stuck around this long. And we'll end this episode as I've ended all of them. This is the first full video one, I guess. How we end all of them on a very serious note. I ask everyone to take care of one another. Namaste.